Week 1 of the NFL preseason is certainly a time of year to say the least, because there are fan bases that are going absolutely crazy right now about a prospect or a young player they might have, or fan bases are the opposite and a player made a bad play that was either a high draft pick or a player that was supposed to have increased expectations entering the 2021 season. And we are going to break down in today's video what every fan should do, and that is slow down when it comes to week 1 of the preseason. Now, if you are a fan of Gregory Rousseau and the Bills, and you saw him have a sack on Penei Sewell where he got him off balance and pretty much walked him right back to Jared Goff on third down early in the game in what was the first drive of Gregory Rousseau's professional career, then be happy by all means. But don't think he's going to be the next Bruce Smith, have 200 sacks and be the all-time sack leader is kind of what I want to say. And likewise with Lions fans, obviously do not think Penei Sewell is going to be a draft bust on the third rep of his professional career. Now, we are going to break down several things in today's video, including Chase Young and the football team. And before we dive in, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as each only take a second to do, and it would be very much appreciated. Now, let's begin. Now, one thing I do want to make clear, if you are a fan of a team that had a player with a breakout performance, or in Chase Young's case, a player that exceeded levels even what you were expecting heading into the evening on Thursday night, then get excited by all means. And obviously most players, Chase Young may be an exception here, but most players are not going to go on to a career with multiple Pro Bowls and potentially a Hall of Fame path. So what I do want to say is pretty much just slow down with either the positive thoughts or the negative thoughts. Now again, if you are having all the positive thoughts like Gregory Rousseau, like we said earlier in the video, by all means, have them. Be a fan. Have fun with the game, and it is week 1 of the preseason. Just enjoy what you have for the moment, but at the same time, don't overthink it. Now, we are going to break down some of Mac Jones' plays from Thursday night, and what I do want to reiterate is a lot of these throws were simple throws that quarterbacks should be able to make. So if you are a Patriots fan or a Mac Jones fan, supporter, whatever, then be happy that Mac Jones is doing this, because on some of these, especially on this play action dig, and I'm not going to view the whole play due to copyright issues, but dude, this is a play Mac should be able to make. He fakes a play action, waits for his receiver to hit the dig, and places it right on the money. So in theory, Mac is having a good play here, and this was exactly what he should be able to do at the professional level, and it was good on Mac's job. I wish we could have the all 22 angle here, but it was good on Mac's job to avoid the linebacker, to hit the receiver on the money, and have a first down for the Patriots. Now, one thing I wasn't a huge fan of was ESPN blasting this graphic of Cam Newton compared to Mac Jones in the debut, where they are very obviously and heavily trying to favor Mac Jones and put a little pressure on Bill Belichick and his coaching staff that Mac Jones, by these metrics, was much better than Cam Newton in the preseason opener. And again, we are talking about a preseason opener, and that's what I want to reiterate when it comes to this, is you can't just all of a sudden assume Mac Jones is this far superior player to what Cam Newton is in 2021. Now, could Mac Jones eventually become better than what Cam is this year specifically? Yes. Could he be what Cam is in his career? Could be, but I wouldn't bet on it, as Cam was a former league MVP in his own rights. But this type of, for lack of a better word, just nonsense that ESPN shows and trying to make Mac Jones out to be like he's this next great franchise quarterback. And again, he could be. It's just not something that I'm for in week 1 of the preseason. Now, if Cam does struggle in the regular season and he goes 4 for 16 to start a game, then I would rightfully think that Cam would need to be benched. But to just mass produce these kinds of stats and make something out of what is not something I'm for. And that's why I'd want to reiterate not to overreact. Whether your team does very good in week 1 of the preseason or very bad, or your favorite player likewise does very good or very bad. But again, if you're happy, then the really last thing I want to do is have someone watch this video and think, dang, this guy wants me to be miserable over a week 1 preseason game, because that's not the case at all. Anyways, I just don't like these type of narratives and misinterpreted information out there like ESPN and other companies make in week 1 of the preseason. Now, this next one is another example of, I don't want to say overreacting, but being a person in the moment watching this. And do I agree with Matt? Not necessarily. Could I see Chase Young leading the league in sacks, though, in 2021? Yes, 100%. And although Chase Young had just 7.5 sacks as a rookie, and by the way, was the Defensive Rookie of the Year, doesn't mean he can't have a trend-descending leap this year and become the player that we all knew he was in the draft process. Chase is obviously one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, or at least will soon become one of the best pass rushers in the NFL if you don't think he already is. And the sack that he had on Cam Newton is a clear evidence as to why people think this and why very credentialed people like Matt Miller tweet things like this, especially off watching just one specific rep. The technique, the size, the speed from Chase Young shown on this rep is outstanding, and he will be one of the best defensive players in football for years to come. Now, I realize I did say that it is week 1 of the preseason, and to not overreact and think a player is either a future Hall of Famer or a complete draft bust up there with the Ryan Leafs of the world, but there are 2 takeaways that I want to have from the Steelers-Eagles game. One is, I do think defensive end Alex Highsmith will be a very solid player for the Steelers for years to come, as he is entering his 2nd year with the team, and of course will play opposite of All-Pro and what Steelers fans think should have been the Defensive Player of the Year in 2020, TJ Watt. So Alex being in a situation that he is will be obviously very favorable for him, because let's just call it what it is. Unless Alex Highsmith becomes Lawrence Taylor, he will always be the number 2 viewed pass rusher in Pittsburgh as long as TJ is there. That's really not derogatory, it's just going to be the way that it is because of how dominant TJ Watt is, and given that he is in a favorable situation, I do think Alex Highsmith can be a dominant player, or at least a very, very solid starter for the next 5 to 6 years for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And yes, I do realize that they signed Ingram from the Chargers, who was a free agent, but I do think Highsmith will, I don't want to say beat him out, but him and Melvin Ingram will be a very good number 2 pass rushing duo opposite of TJ Watt, and I think those guys will be very good in 2021 and beyond, and especially the beyond part for Alex Highsmith. And another player I do want to say, and by the way, I made a video about him several months ago, and I do think he will be a multiple-time Pro Bowl player, is running back Najee Harris. I do love Najee and think he will be a very good player, and although he only had a few carries in what was his 2nd preseason game, because the first was the Hall of Fame game over a week ago, I do think Najee, I think based on the eye test, that you can tell he will be a very successful NFL player. The only question that I have for him and the Steelers is, how will the Steelers' offensive line hold up in 2021? Now, they did have a rookie, Dan Moore, who has been graded by PFF as the best rookie so far, or one of the top 3 rookies so far. So that is good news, but then again, you would have to ask the question of what type of competition is Dan Moore playing against. But with Najee, and you could actually ask the same question about Najee, by the way, I do think he will be a very good NFL player, and I am very much excited for the future of him and his teammate, Alex Highsmith. Now, I do want to briefly talk about the Bills-Lions game, and more so than just Gregory Rousseau beating Penei Sewell on one specific rep. And one thing I do want to say was I loved how Devin Singletary played against the Lions on Friday night, and Devin Singletary has to play better in 2021 if he wants to have not only a long-term future in Buffalo, but really for the sake of his NFL career. Could he bounce around for a couple of teams for the near future? Yes, he could definitely do that, but if he wants to play in the NFL for the next 5 to 6 years and have a solid 8-year career where he can financially secure himself and his family more so than a 2 or 3 year NFL career, then he has to play like he did on Friday night. And I thought it was a good showing for him for not only his future but for the Bills' backfield as well. Now, running back Zach Moss did not play at all, and I am very much looking forward to the 1-2 duo of Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. I did want to say, though, I really loved how Devin Singletary played on Friday night. And as for Jared Goff, I thought it wasn't all that great for him in his first outing. He threw 9 passes with just 56 yards, and I thought he played pretty hesitant. Granted, it was week 1 of the preseason, so I don't want to just completely slam the guy and give him an actual chance against what will be future NFL teams, and when everyone's playing with the ones and everything, and for more than just a couple of series for Jared Goff. He did play most of the first quarter, and anyways, I thought Goff played for what we were hoping to see for him in the first game, but again, it is week 1 of the preseason. And lastly, for the Cowboys and Cardinals first preseason game for the Cardinals, second for the Cowboys, there wasn't really a lot to report on, as the Cowboys combined went 20 for 43 passing and averaged just 5 yards per pass attempt. So there's not really a lot to take away from this game. To me, it was a typical preseason game. The backups played the whole time, and it was a generally pretty boring preseason game. One thing I did like from the Cardinals was seeing Zaven Collins make a pretty big tackle at the beginning of the game. But again, other than that, it was a standard preseason game, and there's really not a lot to report on. Again, it is week 1 of the preseason, but I am finishing recording this at 10 a.m. Saturday morning before all of the games on Saturday, and of course a couple on Sunday. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I am very much thankful that football is back and very much looking forward to a day of football. So anyways, if you ever have a video suggestion, please comment below, and I cannot wait for the future of this channel and for the 2021 NFL season. And until next time, have a great day. Love you guys. Deuces. Peace.